Have you noticed that when life hits hardest, your first instinct isn't to call someone? It's to quietly reorganize your whole world so no one has to know you're drowning? You'll research solutions at 2 a.m., rearrange your schedule, cut expenses, work longer hours, skip meals, and recalibrate everything internally. You'll show up for everyone else's crises. You'll be the stable one. You'll be the listener. But the second someone asks, "What do you need?" you freeze, deflect, or say, "I'm fine." From the outside, it looks like independence, discipline, maybe even admirable self-reliance. People call you strong, low maintenance, the person who has it together. But inside, it doesn't feel like strength. It feels like something else entirely. A system you've built so carefully that asking for help now feels more dangerous than handling everything alone. People who never ask for help aren't just naturally self-sufficient. Most of them tried asking once, or many times, and what happened next taught them that vulnerability could be weaponized. It could be dismissed. It could be stored and used against them later. So they made a choice, often without words. I'll never give anyone that opening again. Stay until the end of this video, because once you understand the psychology of people who never ask for help, you'll see that what looks like being independent is often a survival adaptation built on the memory of what happened the last time they let someone see them struggling. Let's start with where this begins. Picture yourself as a kid needing something simple: help with homework, a ride somewhere, comfort after a bad day. You ask, and instead of support, you get a sigh, an eye roll, or the words, "Why can't you figure this out yourself?" Maybe the help comes with strings attached. Maybe it comes with a lecture about how needy you are. Maybe it gets thrown back at you the next time you do something wrong. After everything I've done for you, this is how you act? You learn quickly that asking for help isn't just about whether you get it. It's about what it costs you afterward. It might cost you your dignity. It might cost you your autonomy. It might cost you peace, because now you owe someone, and they'll remind you of that debt whenever it's convenient. This wasn't you deciding to be difficult. This was training. Your brain started associating vulnerability with danger. Every time you opened up and got punished for it, whether through mockery, guilt, or abandonment, your nervous system recorded the lesson. Needing people hurts. Don't do it again. Psychologically, this is how self-reliance becomes an adaptation rather than a preference. When early caregivers respond to needs with rejection, inconsistency, or emotional manipulation, the child's attachment system reorganizes around a new rule. I am safer when I need nothing from anyone. That belief doesn't just fade when you grow up. It calcifies. But here's what's interesting about people who never ask for help. They aren't incapable of connection. They aren't inherently cold or emotionally unavailable. They've simply learned that the cost of being seen in need is higher than the cost of struggling in silence. Now let's talk about what happens next. Fast forward a few years, you stop asking. You start figuring things out on your own. You learn to Google before you ask a question. You learn to fix things yourself, even if it takes longer. You start anticipating problems so you can solve them before anyone notices you're struggling. You become exceptionally competent at managing alone. This looks from the outside like maturity, and in some ways it is. You develop skills most people never bother learning. You become resourceful, disciplined, self-aware. But underneath all that capability is a quiet rule. I cannot let anyone see me as weak, needy, or unable to manage. You build systems to ensure you never have to ask. You keep extra money saved. You maintain backup plans. You avoid situations where you might need support. You say yes to helping others, partly because it reinforces the identity of being the capable one, the one who gives, not the one who takes. Psychologically, this is a form of counterdependency, organizing your life around not needing others, often as a defense against the fear of being let down, controlled, or shamed. You've turned self-reliance into armor, and the more competent you become, the harder it gets to admit when something is beyond your capacity. But here's the thing about people who never ask for help. They aren't avoiding connection out of arrogance. They're avoiding the specific kind of pain that comes when you reach out and the person you trusted either isn't there or uses your vulnerability against you. Then there's the question of what help actually meant in your early life. Maybe help always came with conditions. I'll help you, but only if you stop complaining. I'll be there, but you owe me. I'll do this for you, but don't ever say I'm not a good parent. The support was real, but so was the price tag. You learned that accepting help meant accepting someone else's version of you. It meant listening to their commentary on how you got into the mess in the first place. It meant being reminded, sometimes for years, about what they did for you and how ungrateful you've been since, so you stopped accepting it. You'd rather stay up all night solving the problem yourself than sit through the lecture, the guilt trip, or the silent scorecard that tallies every favor and throws it back during the next conflict. You discovered that autonomy, even painful autonomy, felt better than conditional support. Attachment research shows that when caregiving is inconsistent or comes with emotional strings, children often develop what's called compulsive self-reliance. They learn to meet their own needs not because they don't want closeness, but because closeness has historically come at too high a cost. People with this pattern aren't rejecting intimacy. They're protecting themselves from the version of intimacy that leaves them feeling smaller, more controlled, or more indebted than before they asked. Now let's address the cost, because there is one. Being the person who never asks for help can feel powerful at first. You don't owe anyone. You don't wait around hoping someone shows up. You don't get disappointed because you never expected anyone to carry you in the first place. But over time, it also means you carry everything. The weight of every problem, every crisis, every decision sits on your shoulders. You can't share it because sharing feels too vulnerable. You can't admit you're tired because that would contradict the identity you've built. So you keep going, often past the point of exhaustion, because stopping would mean admitting you can't do it all alone. And that admission feels like failure. There's also a different kind of loneliness that comes with this. You show up for everyone. You listen, support, problem solve, reassure. But when your life falls apart, you disappear. You go quiet. You handle it behind closed doors. People don't even know you're struggling because you've gotten so good at appearing fine. That means your relationships can start to feel one-sided, not because people don't care, but because you've never let them see the part of you that needs care. You've built walls so high that even people who want to help you don't know where the door is. But here's what's interesting about people who never ask for help. They aren't incapable of receiving. They're just waiting for proof that receiving won't cost them their safety, dignity, or sense of control. And until they get that proof, they'll keep choosing isolation over the risk of being let down again. Fast forward to today. People who never ask for help are often misunderstood. Others see them as cold, distant, maybe even arrogant. They think they're too good to need anyone, someone might say. Or they just don't trust people. But that's not the full picture. They aren't emotionally deficient. They aren't incapable of intimacy. They aren't trying to prove they're better than everyone else. They've simply learned through repeated experience that asking for help can open a door to rejection, manipulation, or shame. And they've decided that staying behind that door is safer. They've built an entire infrastructure around self-sufficiency. They've developed skills, routines, backup plans, and internal systems that allow them to function without depending on anyone. That's not arrogance, that's adaptation. That's a nervous system that said, if I can't rely on others, I'll become someone who doesn't need to. They figured out something painful, but true. Needing people is a risk. And when you've been burned enough times, you stop taking that risk. You stop hoping someone will show up. You stop imagining that vulnerability will be met with care instead of criticism. You become your own safety net because no one else has proven reliable enough to hold you. That's not being independent. That's self-protection. One where you're not avoiding connection because you don't want it. You're avoiding it because the version of connection you've experienced has hurt more than it's helped. And once you see that your refusal to ask for help grew out of survival, not superiority, you can start asking a better question. Not, why can't I just ask? But, what would it take for me to believe that asking is safe?